All right, greetings and welcome back, my friends. I'm glad to have you and hope you enjoy another round of Minecraft. We're back a few minutes after the end of the last episode, and again, as I ended it, it was in a bit of a panic. Thought thought I may have been running on mute, but checking the audio, it seemed to be there for the video. So very glad that you weren't forced to choose to watch some Minecrafting in silence for who knew how long. But no, it's all there, all good. So we're going to dive right back into it. We'll just go ahead and get back into the game. As you may remember, if you were watching a while ago, we're working our way down our stairs to the depths of what will become our mine, and had just cleared out a cave pretty completely to make sure that our stairway could be framed out. And sure, it gave us some good iron gathering opportunity. We got lots of coal now, so torches won't be a problem. But we don't have a lot of extra iron. We're not sitting on stockpiles to replace these tools, so I hope we'll get a few more patches as we go here. Hey, look at that. Got one. So again, another advantage of the three wide staircase. You know, at this point, you're always looking for resources, and not being on a single staircase, you have two more opportunities to see blocks that you otherwise wouldn't, and grab these out. So we'll do that. We'll just fill back in this wall since it will probably be solid. Let me get down there, at least to a certain depth. I don't know how far we need to go. We can reach up well enough here. And again, our invisible potion buddy up there is chugging his potions to keep safe through the night. We're just kind of dealing with challenges as they come, but we should be pretty safe behind. We've got our cabin up there, and it looks like we may have some rain continuing, but have our little structure built up around there to keep uh, monsters from coming down on top of us. So yeah, we'll take this coal that comes to us and just fill that in. It makes our tunnel a little ugly, and at some point we'll probably fill that in and finish this up, make it look pretty. But for now, we're in gather mode, and it looks like we got a couple veins that kind of just sat on top of each other here. Hey, um, nice when it happens. So lots of lots of coal in hand, which is never bad. It's something that can grow to a storage concern pretty quickly, but as I'd mentioned in a previous video, coal does can be grouped into blocks. So 9 pieces of coal will make a coal block, and those can stack up to 64 in your inventory. And when you're working that, it definitely one helps in your furnaces. You don't have to constantly be refilling them. You can just use use the coal as it's needed, and kind of fill them and forget them. It takes a while to get it all going, but once you've got it, you're set for a good long while. So we'll just swap out our picks here. That one's getting a little low. Eventually, we'll merge those with eventual diamond. There's an enchantment, Mending, which is, I think, as most people would agree, the most helpful enchantment in the game. It it really makes all the difference in the world. But until we get to a point where we've got that, you can repair. Wow, you say something and then you end up just whacking a zombie with your pick. Where did you come from, buddy? That makes all of this a little more intimidating. I mean, I wonder if he. I don't think he can spawn in there with the door, but maybe. It's rainy, and I I think we're pretty well lit, but we may be vulnerable right in the midst here. Something to keep an eye on. That's a concern. I didn't leave any doors open, which is also a possibility. But I'm not gonna be as cautious as I probably should about it. We're just gonna press on. The further down we go, the further from their area of aggro to us we can get. So, um, yeah, see how it plays out. See if we find any more friends coming after us. With torches, with the dimensions of that room, it's 7 by 9 on the inside. And I put a lot of torches on the edges, but that may um, leave us a little dark in the middle. We'll have to wait until a nighttime when there's no artificial light, and then we'll check the light levels and see if we're vulnerable to any spawning right in the middle of that room. And if needed, for the time being, we can just throw it on a torch, and that should prevent any further excitement in that regard. We like our excitement, but we like it on our terms. We don't want unplanned excitement. That gets a little more exciting than anybody needs. So, um, again, this is better than some stairs as far as replacing the tools we're using to make them with, you got 13 pieces of iron. That's already 3 more picks, and we've only used 1.5. So while we're going, I I know, using picks down, you'll get less health back, and I think the more you have on both, the kind of the more benefit you get by combining them. But for functionality's sake, if you're not a natural break, it's sometimes nice to just use them down until they're close to the point of breaking, and then just throw them together. That helps with your inventory management without the waste. You get a little bit more out of each one, and really just keeps you going longer. While you're in search of that next thing, whatever it may be, more iron or some diamonds to replace. So that's kind of where we're working. Now, a lot of the time that we've been digging, we've been mixing that up with going out and free range breeding our cows. We've talked about a lot. We definitely want a lot of happy, healthy cows, because not only do we want the food of beef, which is a great, easy, and ready meal to have on hand, but in addition to that, we want their leather. Leather, as we've talked about in a previous video, is one of the two requirements for books. The other is going to be paper, which is made from sugarcane. And we've got a few naturally growing plants of sugarcane out around our island here, or peninsula. But we'll want to take what's there and what we've already gathered. I think we have just a few pieces already, and turn that into our own production. Really try to get that cranking too. You need 1 piece of leather and 3 pieces of paper for each book, and ultimately, down the road, we're going to want to be trading with librarian villagers for enchanted books. And to get those, we we need just a whole bunch of not only books to actually create uh, our bookcases to improve our enchanting odds ourselves, but also we want the books to be enchanted by them, and we want emeralds to trade for those enchanted books. And paper is another easy way, along with some of our crops that we're going to grow, to keep our villager friends that we'll make um, eager and ready to sell us some good enchantment books. Mending, the main one of those. There's also enchanting tables, and again, for those of you who are long familiar with the game, none of this is new stuff. It's very familiar when you're, particularly when you're playing in hardcore or even survival Minecraft. But for others who may not know, you can enchant your own gear. And we'll definitely be making an enchanting table, and that's how we'll use a lot of our experience. But you can also apply the enchantments from books, and we'd seen some of those in our shipwrecks that we've uh, dove down to gather up loot, and also from the desert temples. They've had some books that we've seen. So lots of good ways to get enchantments. Enchanting tables are a great early way to get going, but you don't have, it's kind of a game of chance, a game within the game to find maximum level enchantments of the best stuff for what you're going to be using your tools for. And while you can get nearly everything that you need out of those, a couple of things that you absolutely cannot get, one is mending. Mending is the enchantment that says that for every monster you kill, for every piece of ore you cook, for every uh, diamond or redstone or emerald that you harvest, you get those little green experience orbs. And as you can see, we've reached level 20 by the numbers down at the bottom of the screen. We'll trade those out to get enchantments. And by using bookcases, we can get stronger or multiple enchantments on any tool that we choose to enchant. But we won't know, other than one of the enchantments to be implied, what's actually going to go onto our tools. So there's a chance element there. By trading with villagers for books, we know specifically what and how many enchantments are going to go on our tools. It means that one, we can, you know, put on the maximum strength enchantments of any variety. It also means that we're not going to get an enchantment that would otherwise break what we're trying to do with that tool. And we'll have lots of time to look at that and talk about it, because getting those things set up, whether you're doing it directly from an enchanting table or whether you're working with the villagers to get a trade, them to offer a trade that you want, is a time game. There's a lot of re-rolling to make those things happen just right. So lots of opportunity, but for now, the important takeaway in all of that is we're going to need cows, lots and lots of cows. We're also going to need some fairly healthy crops of sugarcane, and all those are coming soon. Probably the cows will get going in and amongst getting the wheat farm going. The sugar cane, yeah, it's so easy. At some point we'll kind of be inspired and just throw it up. It's one I use for kind of trying to make the area around the base a little more interesting. You can do them a number of very similar ways, but I found a couple that I think are pretty nice looking. Develop a little bit of curb appeal for our base, and remain pretty efficient without a whole lot of effort, either for harvesting or replanting. Again, I'm not going to be the guy that is looking for max efficiency out of automation. Um, there's nothing wrong with that. I love watching people build some of those things. It's amazing and fun to see those come together. But just not my preferred play style. So uh, see if what I come up with clicks for you, or we also I've certainly done a little bit of um, automation over the years and tried out a few farms, and I'm not opposed to watching some guides online and doing my best to make those work in my worlds. But especially until we really get a world up that's going more so than we did last time. Kind of gonna play it with my own familiar past choices and see how we can go until we get stuck or are really chafing to improve speed or efficiency or just quality of life to not have to repeat activities. So you guys feel free to comment, drop any recommendations or thoughts down in the comments on this video, and I'll look forward to the feedback. While we're doing that, though, we're getting deeper here into our stairway, which is nice. As you can see, once you get it going, aside from the interruptions for occasional zombies that come down to see what we're up to, or dealing with caves that we may come into, we we're making pretty good progress. I mean, it used to be the whole sky was right there. Now it's just a little spot, and we've gone back into another night. I think we pretty much just skipped that whole day, and if I'm not mistaken, we're creeping towards that time when phantoms may start to appear in the sky. Phantoms are a night mob. Um, when you don't sleep, phantoms will spawn in increasing numbers of groups night by night to keep you on your toes and remind you that yeah, you can't just go day after day without sleeping. That's not a good thing. So we may have a little bit of that to deal with, but I don't plan to just intentionally go too terribly long without sleeping just yet. um, Phantoms are, in many people's opinion, kind of a nuisance mob. They have one very important drop, and that is their membranes, phantom membranes. They have one use. They won't use all the time, but those phantom membranes are great for brewing a particular potion. They also can be used directly to repair elytra, which are the wings that allow you to fly later in the game. Personally, I don't think I've ever actually repaired an elytra with a phantom membrane. When I get to the point of flying around, I'm usually already well into the world of enchanting and set up with everything I need. So most times when I'm there, by the time I'm out looking for my own elytra, I'm gonna, probably have a mending book in my pocket and may carry along an anvil just to throw it on as soon as I get it, or I'll just carry them back and enchant them before I really do any prolonged flying. So, um, yeah, the what all that really comes down to is phantoms don't have a whole lot of use to hunt specifically or intentionally. There is an advancement to deal with the phantom menaces, meni, but we don't even really have to worry about that too much. It doesn't involve bulk, more technique, and so we'll get them dealt with. But long story short, once we're up at the top and it's daytime or going into night, we'll just grab a nap, get some more sleep back, and unless it's been 3 nights with no sleep, they won't spawn. And as soon as you do get a night of sleep, that'll reset back, and they burn up in the daylight. So, like zombies or anything else, if you've had some that have spawned the night before, they will pretty quickly not be a problem if you just kind of let nature take its course. So, we'll plan to do that, but in the meantime, our tools are once again getting low. It's amazing how quickly you can blow through these axes as you're going. We've picked up just a couple more pieces of iron, but that will certainly allow us to replace everything we've got and even have a couple pieces spare to add to our very meager stockpile. Um, yeah, this is going pretty well, I think, compared to our last a little bit more fitful start. Um, we will check our depth here before we head back up for ultimately replacing our picks. See how close we've gotten. A little bit earlier, there was a noise. You know, the name of the file I'm sure is out there, and people may know it. You're welcome to throw that in the comments, but it's kind of the noise of empty space, and it usually means that you're in proximity of some kind of a larger opening underground, and that can certainly be fun. But let's just take a look. So we are at depth level 16. That's a lot deeper than I even thought we had gotten to already, and that's awesome. Personally, like many, I like to mine on level 11, and we'll see why here as soon as we get down one more section, five more steps, and then start to open up our kind of basement, so to speak. Um, when playing around in the basement, we're going to go through picks much more quickly and with less iron, and with the sun coming up here, and it's too late to sleep. I don't see that we have a cloud of phantom friends up above us, which is, that's nice enough. It would be fun to show you guys, those of you who haven't had the pleasure yet. We'll take one more snack of mutton, and now, as you can see, our chest for cobble is gonna show its value. So, selecting a particular type of block and then double clicking on others while you've got it in your hand will pull everything that you've got into the vicinity. And yeah, for the rest of it, we're just gonna dump these other blocks that we've got. I haven't pulled much andesite yet, surprisingly, but we did get that bit of gravel. So we'll that having that stove there is gonna throw me off just a bit. It'll take me a minute, but that was where we were. Dirt and gravel. All right, now more coal. We can fully feed our furnace. Get that fully stocked up, and yep, when it's when you're missing one particular block type, like the iron that you want to cook, that you've done something wrong. So again, we're getting a little long on coal, but as usually happens when you get to about that point, you're also due for a few more torches. So we'll just make up another batch, store the excess so we're not drowning in them in our pockets. And there we go. We got a nice little reserve of those. I'm not going to carry the doors anymore. I don't think we need those. But while it's daylight, let's go take a look around. See how just through that little bit of breathing, we've improved. Oh, and here's one of our buddies. These are the Pillagers. Remember, we had the outpost. Now, he's likely got a bunch of friends just over that ridge that are probably going to join him. They travel in groups, anywhere from four, I think, up to 8. So see, we've got some others down there, and as you can see, the guy out in the water has a banner. He's their leader, I guess, so to speak. And he and his buddies, they'll all come and try to shoot you with those crossbows. And they're certainly in groups, they can be dangerous. But the main danger is once we get that guy with the banner, he's going to apply us a curse effect called Outcast, I think, something like that. When he does, and if they would come to land, I'd be more confident taking them on. I'm not necessarily opposed, but when they're shooting and we're swimming, and why they're see they see me, I really prefer that they come back, and I wouldn't mind taking them on in the water, but I can't hold my breath very long, and that gets exciting. So we'll see if they can come back while we grab just a bit more of this natural sugar cane. And we were talking about it. Let's this is not what I'm gonna consider a long-term sugarcane solution, but we'll just throw those down next and let them grow naturally for a while. Now, no, those guys just want to sit out there and tease us. It's just too bad. But we'll leave them as they are. They were a little bit of a menace. It looks like we've had an Enderman around because I'm pretty sure we didn't have a block sitting there. Endermen will pop around the world. We stopped one in our desert temple, and he didn't leave anything for us, specifically his eye. But some of them they have the ability to pick up blocks, and some of them will either drop those blocks when they're killed or place them in random spots around. So sometimes you'll find just a random block. I know for the folks that do make some of those automated machines that are so cool, they can definitely wreak havoc, right? You've got a space cleared and set to function automatically and configured just the way it needs to be, and then while you're gone and not looking, the Enderman shows up and drops a grass block right in the middle of it and makes the whole thing grind to a halt. So, like life, you can't just completely dismiss that anything's going to change around you. So, that's probably evidence of that type of thing. We did not get a crossbow from our pillager friend. Occasionally, they will drop their weapon. They're usually in pretty bad shape when they do. But we'll have lots more opportunities to do so. While we're getting our... No, we're not going to. I take that back. If needed, we'll dump our water to deal with any effects of our pillager friends. And the advantage that I kind of alluded to of not wanting to live right next to a village, and when we did find ourselves in that desert temple that was closed, I mentioned a couple times that we're not doing them any favors by being there. Where they're probably not real thrilled to have us as neighbors. Well, the pillagers are the reason for that. If we get that banner guy, as you guys will see, if he comes to shore or one of his future friends, they will set up an effect on us where if we come into proximity of a village, they are just as likely to show up in force and attempt to basically wipe that village off the map. And, as much or as little as anyone typically cares about a pillager community, one of the things that, it's just decent to keep in mind is you don't want any village wiped off the earth. So we're going to try to avoid that. And to that effect, it's very advisable that out of our cows we use one or two of them a couple times to get a couple buckets of milk uh, ready to go. And out here, away from any ready villages, we can just keep them at home. Just getting the effect doesn't have any immediate negative consequence, but certainly once we do, uh, we'll want to use that milk to clear it and any other effects before we would, then try to go and say hey to any of our neighbor villagers. So all stuff soon to come, but I thought that when we have some more iron, it's probably about the time to have one of those in reserve. And always better to have it than to find you don't and accidentally wander into a village with that set to be a bad time for all the people you're going visiting. So we'll take care of that need here in a bit. What I'm doing now, and you guys may have guessed from the wall, um, I think initially I'm going to make the small classic uh, wheat farm, and many of you guys may have made this one yourself. Certainly have probably seen it. They've kind of gone out of style. They're not as common anymore, particularly as more and more people get comfortable automating things. They're yeah. Do I really need that, or can I just trade some emeralds and get some food that I need that way? So it's by choice. I've used them for ages, and while I don't continue to use that for a farm for growing crops too much anymore, um, I do use the same footprint for most of my animal pens, particularly cows and chickens. So if I build one, I can first bolster up my wheat a little bit more, and then by the time we're really ready to roll out bigger farms, more more breeding of animals, and eventual harvesting of them, we'll be in really good shape to just feed loads of cows while we wait for bigger crops of wheat to grow. So that's kind of the plan. And to do so, we're really close. I just want to get a full stack of spruce. Again, I'd prefer when I have it to use the spruce wood for some of these kind of things. And in building fence gates, which we're going to make use of here, I I think it's so quick to have a stack of logs and build directly from them, as you guys will see here in a second. But I think we were just talking about in the last video how even with beds and relative security, you can sometimes cut it a little fine, and no great threat here. I think we can make it home. We weren't that far, but certainly didn't have a bed on hand, and yeah, as we see, before they even got to spawning, we're back home again. So non-event, but next time, mobs, you'll have your chance. As we talked about, though, before we're dealing with phantoms, we're gonna just go ahead and get our nap. Oh, and I forgot to check the light levels. See, that's where a chat could really help. What I'm guessing is typically if you have torches five apart, so one, two, three, four, five. If we had another torch on a post here, we'd be in real good shape. And even in the 7x7, you're pretty safe. But I think with this extra distance, we just don't have enough. And my guess is that kind of fittingly enough, these nice light pieces of wood that I put down probably are the ones that are too low. So we may have to reevaluate our placement of the bed, or throw some new light. It probably could be fixed immediately if I just threw down two torches, but that's not what we're working on right at the moment. What we're doing right at the moment is making some spruce fence gates. And again, I had sticks, um, had planks. Certainly could have done this and won't need 64 fence gates. But one stack of logs makes one stack of gates, and that will cover us for quite a while without having to worry about it, without having to store extra. I mean, well, unless you made each time just the exact amount, we're going to have a few extra anyway. So this will suit our needs fine. And I'm just looking at, kind of what we can do with minimum effort, because placement I don't think is gonna, well, these are eventually gonna be our cows, and this is eventually gonna be our home. These trees are throwing me off, but well, I think this will be our animal section. I know this seems like a lot of back and forth, but what I don't want is too restrictive on eventual expansion of our home. But I don't want them so far away that they aren't benefiting from our being around either. Just to be active and developing while we're in our base. So I think, and we'll need, eventually, what, half dozen? Mainly four. We're going to want cows, chickens, and then pigs and sheep are the main breeding animals within these types of farms, and sheep really can throw out. So now that I'm talking about it, maybe only three in these shapes, and let's just kind of start from here. Now, by digging down one, we're gonna probably get more dirt than we need, but eventually that's gonna pay us back on our projects to level out our crop farms, which have a bigger footprint. So, not worried about that. When we're building this or any kind of outdoor structure, what we want to do is make sure that we're at least 2 blocks away from anything that's elevated up above the height of our gate, or our fence. Animals and ourselves, nothing can jump over or climb or step onto a gate. They aren't climbable. That's kind of their purpose. They keep animals in. Animals can walk up blocks, so you need to have that in the game. Well, that also means that potentially mobs can come in, and none of us want that. Our animals don't want that. We don't want that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. So this should be our dimension. So that's 5, and 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1. And then that should take us right back. We'll just throw down our remaining stone here. And this makes a nice little base for our fence. And we'll use our extra bit of dirt we just dug up to level this out. While we're at it with our dirt, 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't need one up there. Do that. Add that and that. Alright. I'm sure some are familiar. This is an all too common shape. I'd like to give it just that 2-block range. That was just a tap. I knew it wasn't going to hurt him. I just wanted him to move, and it worked very effectively. Now again, as we were just saying over on that other side, we want to clear out 2 around to keep any jumpy type mobs from getting an advantage where they find themselves in amongst our critters or after us. And while the further out you get, the less risk there is. Typically, monster mobs are not going to run. They don't have that same sprint that we do, and so they're not going to leap off a ledge to clear in. It's still nice, cosmetically and safety wise, just to extend that out, soften the ridge a little bit. So you got some lights floating above. That's one of the few floating devices that I just like. It doesn't fit. There's no physics behind it, but it is what it is, and it works. And are you kidding me? Did we really miscount? We sure did. Well, that's not major inconvenience, but slows us up just a bit. Again, we don't worry about these things too much, so we'll just kick out our fence line here for uniformity's sake. We'll make it nice and even and make sure that our cow friends have a nice home in the future. Not too cramped until until that is they're ready. But to start with, and as they're in their formative years, not too cramped. So that's our fence. Again, many are probably nodding along. Yep, made that or made it slightly modified. I think the more common version of the square farm is to have a single central block where you put your water and everything else around it. Personally, and this goes back a long way to when water was made renewable and available as a resource. I set these up as four. I just wanted to have the ability to once I had one going, refill it very easily and quickly without a whole lot of fuss or muss, especially when right now we're doing one and we're going to put some wheat in it and that's it. And then we're going to fill in the water hole when we put cows in because we don't want them, getting all stinky, wet cow. So it doesn't emphasize as much as it used to when you were trying to make fields for all your crops. It was handy. You could just, knock out all these and then have two, even if you had two buckets of water, you'd refill them and then go to the next and boom, 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 boom. You don't have to run over to the nearest river or creek. And that's kind of nice. So this gives us a renewable source of water. As you saw, I refilled my bucket and the other three spots fill in the one that we pulled from. So game design, no exploit. That's just how it works. When we do that, now all blocks in any four directions from a wet block can become irrigated when they do. So, oh, we do have our hoe. Wow, look at that forethought and planning. Good job, us. But here we go. Oh, yet another reason to hate shields. What we're doing now is making farmland out of these. And you just saw there, this block became irrigated. It's got reach to the water. And so it's going to suck that up and that will help with the grow of the crops. You don't need water at all to farm. You can just have dry farmland and the crops will eventually grow, but they'll do so much more slowly. And there's a number of things that honestly, once you get your farms going, you're not going to need to fool around with time after time. But there are ways, in addition to irrigating your soil, that will help you grow crops quickly. And we've alluded to one multiple times already that I'm kind of keeping keeping under my hat. The other one we've used on our trees already, and that is to turn our bones into bone meal and throw those down on our plants. Now, for wheat, I'm not going to worry about it. Wheat's one, we got a ton of it already. We can go feed cows and break up these hay bales and feed cows nonstop until what wheat we plant grows, and it'll still probably be good. But we mainly, until we have a renewable source of steady bones, we want to make sure that we are keeping that bone meal as we start up crops of our much more scarce food resources. We only have one carrot. Eventually, we're going to want to have hundreds of carrots growing. So that's one. Potatoes are another. And even while, again, usually by the time I get there, these just kind of grow, our melons and our pumpkins can be speed grower, fed with fertilizer bone meal to grow more quickly. So lots of lots of good uses for bone meal, more so I think than just getting our initial wheat farm going. It's just something we didn't really talk about. I want to get our mind going here while we're still fresh into the game, but it's kind of one of those things that while I'm working on another project, I want to have something going in progress. That's part of what may I feel, and again, my opinion, it's not right or wrong. It's just how I play the game. I think a lot of that time that people spend putting into automation, they build big elaborate machines that yes will plant and reharvest stuff pretty quickly and easily. And again, when I talk about that, I'm not talking as much about the AFK type farms or duping as I am the machines that will harvest with a button push, are set up and designed to be used in game while you're actively playing. And my opinion is that the time and effort that you put into gathering those resources together to make that happen, by the time you've done all that, usually you can have what you want if you build a manual farm and are understanding that the few times that you need to actually gather it, you can just go hit them quickly and harvest and reseed manually. Again, I've thrown his name out quite a bit, and no need to verify this, but I'm assuming that hopefully some of you guys have already discovered him yourself. But John Bams recently did just a massive cool build where he built what he claims and probably is the largest wheat farm, and it was like a football or soccer stadium, just covered in sections of wheat. And ultimately he said, yeah, here comes the harvest. He recorded it. It's out there on YouTube. You can watch it. A bunch of water flowed down and harvested all the wheat. And it was quite a sight to see on an attempt to make it happen. And if he wants to use it again, he's got to go replant all those seeds again. So it was very cool. Made an awesome video, and that's part of his style is working with his chat as he endures these long grindy projects. Um, but the payoff, even as he said, he calls them big dumb builds. They're dumb because a lot of times they're totally inefficient by their scope, and they're just not there. So yeah, you can push a button, pour some water over wheat, and harvest it, and get everything to come down to the bottom, and even go into a chest. That's all very cool and good. In theory, yeah, you can maybe do that. But I find when you see me harvesting manually, once we get real crops going, I just don't think that there's a lot more effort needed. And particularly when you're going to be mining and building, ideally underneath those kinds of areas, yeah, you know, you just kind of know that your presence is going to be keeping them getting ready. And I love that stuff. So we're just talking in the night here, but there was one thing that we were waiting for here, and I'm not going to forget it this night. For those that don't know, again, this is the info screen. There's a lot of debug stuff. All these things mean something, and I have the ones that I use. But one of the most critical eventually to deal with, or to at least be familiar with, is in the middle of that same section, the second paragraph, as I call it, down on the left hand side. You have your XYZ coordinates, and the blocks just mirror those. They're just rounded into pure numbers. Chunks are much more important when you're aligning stuff and automating. So again, an average players, or to get by and even be successful, you don't usually need to know about your chunks, what boundaries are, and anything like that. But what you're what we're talking about now is right below the direction. We're facing south, and then right below it, there's a client light and a server light, and they're going to be pretty identical. Frankly, I know I've looked at the meanings of why they're important before, but ultimately doesn't matter a whole lot. What matters is that block level light, which currently says 11. And here you can see, if I go over and point down, it gets down as low as 9. Um, we should really be okay with a 9-10. I think maybe that zombie popped out. Maybe I'm just misremembering. It's been quite a while, but I think that even with that one block and with the bed sitting on top of it, I think we're probably decently good there. I wasn't aware that the mobs could spawn on top of beds. Maybe they can, but it's an odd height, kind of like a half slab. So that would seem to be off. So I don't know. We'll check closer again. I'm not real sure where our little friend came from when he got to us. But mysteries of the world, and again, no real harm done when he did show up down here. This was the other possibility, I thought, was right in here. And either I'm misremembering, and that 10 could be getting us, or I don't know, I just got unlucky. Well, if you guys have answers to the zombie that showed up on our stairway here in the last episode, um, throw a comment and let me know. But I'll check the light levels again at some point here to make sure. But when we go through building our stuff down below, we'll get a real good verification that we're not approaching the spawning levels. So yeah, I don't know, just game out to get me. We'll say it's that. But here we are, and again, we're currently sitting at level 16, not light, but Y level. So that's our height, and we want to get down to 11. So that's being displayed on the block that we're standing on, and ultimately, we're balancing those out. But that's where we want to get to, and so we're beginning to see what's kind of going to become our first bigger space, and that'll evolve over time. This is not something that needs to be rushed or ground out, but rather than just immediately tearing off in a direction and doing the ritual of strip mining, which I fully advocate in its own way in the Nether. Here, I've always been more a fan of balancing growth in my own space, making sure that not just on the surface, but in a hole I kind of have to dig out of necessity anyway. I go ahead and use that space, and mostly that will become again non-automated, but certainly expansive storage, places for enchanting, and portals, and growing stuff for the portals, and all kinds of good stuff. So we got lots of fun to be had. Now, I just put those up, but we're always subject to a little variance when we make it down to our level based on how high were up when we started, and we were up on a hill as opposed to a block or two around sea level, which is kind of more commonly where I end up building. So this is a start, and all I really do is work in chunks or segments. Chunks is a bad word in Minecraft because a chunk is a real thing, but I just go in units of 5 between torches, and I don't bother doing anything but putting them right on the floor. And again, if we'd been doing this 5 years ago, you would have seen me in that same configuration, leaving pillars of stone or building in cobblestone and double stories with holes in the middle and just elaborate and, frankly, for what they were, beautiful mines that had all these rooms and chambers that were very uniform and, created great patterns, but frankly didn't work that well and added a lot of time and complexity to what I was effectively trying to do, which was just get a big space. And as my needs for storage, as I kind of came to realize, hey, I've got a big area down here to work in. I just kind of said, why do I want pillars? And when the torches are right on the ground like that, their light actually carries further than it is when it's a block higher. In the light that matters, which is on the floor, we want it to be as bright as possible, as far as possible. So this is the configuration I know works 100% all the time. Once we build this, unless we've got slimes, we're not going to get a creeper showing up. And as you can see, our light goes far below the levels that we have up in our little shanty house kind of thing. So we're doing well here, and I think we're doing well upstairs. I think that zombie is just gonna kind of have to remain a mystery unless anyone has a great idea. But I don't think he came directly as a result of our lighting, and that's good news. Better news is we're now cruising on the beginning of our mine chamber. So, as players will tell you, and as many people know, making big rooms is not your best means of finding diamonds. You don't want to touch every block, but we also want to do a lot of different building. Eventually, we're going to be doing most of that in this pure stone. But to get stone, as you've seen many times now, when I break this, I'm making cobblestone, not stone, which is this block. When we either get the enchantment Silk Touch, we'll be able to harvest this stone without breaking it, or if we cook it, we can turn it into stone. And it's pretty nice. They both have different looks, and neither one is bad in my mind. They both have a certain appeal and charm to them. But when you built as many as I have, and you've seen, how many times people use cobble because it's just cheap, I tend to think it's one of those that we just want to kind of keep at the ready, have in store. We'll use it in a lot of hidden type places in builds as fill block where dirt may not work as well. Nether highways for the early work in the nether. I tend to use a lot of cobble down there, and yes, certainly familiar with ice boats. Love them in the nether, but I hope you'll kind of enjoy when we get to that point, seeing how I've found to make my nether a place that's survivable, one, and also easy to be used for transportation no matter where you are in terms of equipment and gear that you've already gotten in the game. So things to kind of put on the to do list. But long story short, while we're working down here, we're getting more cop, and even if it seems like we have a ton of it, and I'm trying hard not to use it in builds right at the moment, there will come certainly places where it becomes increasingly necessary to have ready cobble to go. So this this work now does serve a purpose. Again, far down the road, we may find that we want to do more decoration, particularly for the parts of the room that we're using the most. But well, right for now, we're just gonna kind of keep things keep things going. I am switching out these as I've been talking to cobble, which may seem to fly in the face of what we've just been talking about. But for our entrance down here into the basement, eventually this will seem to work nicely, and I do like having cobble at this height, and you can, if you listen close, you can hear in the background under my voice the reason why it's bubbling and percolating away there. So I'm just gonna come up to here for now. It I guess one more ultimately, and some of this I'm saving. Generally, I like to get my ceiling in my larger basement room up to at least 4 blocks high, and this is going to be in whatever direction it takes, it's going to be a fairly big room. And for folks that don't know, you can double click W to sprint. So we're kind of running as opposed to our standard walking speed. You can also jump with space. If you combine the two, you actually move faster over land than any other form unaided. So, excuse me. So to make that possible in the from getting one end of this eventual room to the other, I do like a 4 high ceiling. 5 works. You can easily reach 5, and with later tools, sometimes just as you're clearing out various ore pockets and things like that, 5 just seems to fit better. It allows a little more height for storage, some of those kind of things if you want it. But 4 will certainly work. And even right now, we're just at 3 with just iron picks and without a big backlog of iron. Um, we're not that desperate, so we'd rather get our elbow room kind of going. And I'll make a few cobble stairs to do the underside here. That's why I wanted to switch these out. I think we'll probably do wood though to kind of accent our our stairs on the top. Um, while we've got space and picks though, let's just keep these. Anytime you still see green, it means you're kind of maximizing. If they go all the way back to like a brand new pick, I actually will hold off. In theory means that I'm missing out. I've overused the utility of the tools, and it's throwaway stuff. But definitely, if you're trying to get the most out of your tools and they're made from resources that you've had to gather, you may as well get every little bit you can. And there's no need to prematurely throw 2 tools together if you don't need to. So I'm just kicking out the side, and that uh, lava is what we saw there. I didn't talk about it, but that's what we've been hearing bubbling kind of in the background, and it gets louder as you can hear when we get closer to it. So um, the reason why I and a lot of other folks like to mine on level 11 is that you're right at lava lake height. It's not guaranteed. There can be lava lakes at any range of levels within the mines, or within diamond range. So you could have a lava lake up above you that you accidentally open up on your head. Always the reason why folks say, never mind straight up or straight down in Minecraft. That's trouble either way. You either can open up into a ravine and find yourself plummeting 40 blocks down, or you can open up a what is otherwise secure uh, pool of lava above your head and let it come crashing down on top of you. So we don't want either of those to happen. So we're going to avoid it. But I'm just largely wanted to find out the source of that bubbling lava, how close it was, how much room we had to operate. But two, we're really just trying to get a beginning space within our diamond level mines. Once we get a core room, which I generally am going to make 3 of these by 3, so we're getting close to halfway done here. We'll um, start our early exploratory tunnels out in each cardinal direction and see what we have around us. One of the main reasons for going back and forth over a shorter distance is you don't have the return time, and you're going to find all those little pockets of ore that are spread out. So most people will kind of advocate either a every other or a 1, 2, 3, unless you're branch mining, and others firmly advocate for branch mining, which says I would create a straight tunnel for me to walk through here and go out 100 blocks or something like that, let's say, and then every third block right at my eye level I would shoot 5 blocks in both directions and see if there's any pockets of ore touching those. All very well intentioned and very good at what they do. My style is just I want to see what all's out there. I want to find those abandoned mine shafts that go that deep. I want to find any deep ravines that may be out there around me, and just find low level caves that may have diamonds exposed in them, regardless. So I just want to kind of experience that as much as possible, and for that reason, I'll throw. A shootout in each direction and really go until either I'm out of picks or space, or until I run into something that I'm not equipped for at that point to deal with. And by the time I've gone in one or the other direction, about that far, I usually have plenty of diamonds to get me going, and I'm fully equipped to get to the point where I'm playing in the Nether. And at that point, traveling by Nether portal will become a much preferred option for maybe not necessarily exploration, but rather than making a safe underground tunnel from here to a village or something like that. If I really wanted to get to one village repeatedly, I would just set up a Nether portal on both sides of it. So we'll see how that plays out, but things to come in the not terribly distant but somewhat distant future. And again, we're fortunate here. We're getting some more iron. It doesn't take much, but that was certainly not much to keep us even with our pick consumption. But that is a concern down here, especially when we're making these rooms. We're breaking up a lot of blocks of stone, and we're not going to see a lot of iron in return for it, which is why as I kind of branch out here, I'm not doing anything about the ceiling. We're not worried about speed of movement yet. We don't have any real need to traverse these, and when we start out on our tunnels, it's only going to be too high anyway. So we're not going to be jump sprinting to move along those anyway. Although, if they get long enough, it's kind of, you wish you could, but yeah, until we get to that point, we'll just kind of get space to not feel like we're just cramped in, and kind of see if there's caves, or as we saw here. Looks like a nice little lava river that's going to cut across those corners, and from the sound of it, wraps this way a little bit. But as far as getting started goes, we're close. I want to do one more row, and I'm going to do it across the back here. And the reason is I'd like to move counter to the direction my steps went. Excuse me, a little hiccup. We want to we wanted to come down, and lots of hiccups. We wanted to come down in this direction because we knew that the ocean was in the opposite, and this is working out towards our spruce taiga, and continent beyond it. The continent ultimately also goes in that direction. So any real probing tunnels and growth and that kind of stuff, probably going to go in that direction. But for our room and eventual storage, um, crafting work, or cooking, or things of that nature that we may do down here, or deep deep underground type farms, we want to move it back under our animals and our crops. Because as I said, all the time that we're down here hollowing out ceilings, making it look nicer, building up chests, or just sorting out the inventory that we've got, when we come down, if we're making the chunks that have those crops or those animals active, they're going to continue to grow, even though we're 50 blocks below, or 60, where they're growing. The height doesn't matter. As much as the distance. If we get out of range of those chunks by distance, they're not going to do anything. I mean, when we're gone, it's as if we're on the far side of the world. So that's why I want to make my room exist under the footprint as much as possible of my fields, and be doing work, or if I make wider tunnels or anything like that, spend that time underneath my crops and my farm. So we're going to kick this back one more level, and now certainly these two can be used to make one fairly healthy pick. And I think between the two, we'll have plenty left. And maybe, oh, there's some redstone. I was just going to say, maybe we'll find something of interest down here that we haven't already. So just a quick 5. Oh, there's some gold too. We're hitting it. This was the direction we needed to go, I guess. So we'll just cut out our far edge, and we'll obviously go back and clean up the rest of those resources. Again, we got some more redstone here. That's nice. Showing us lapis, uh, lapis lazuli, which is blue stone. It used to just be kind of the crafter's delight. It was only useful in the sense that it's made blue dye, and you could, from there make blue beds and things. Now we've got more flowered palette to work with. And you could make lapis. I guess before that, even, you could just make lapis blocks, which were a big blue block. And yeah, kind of nice, but when you're up against all the machines that Redstone can make, and the glory that is the Minecraft diamond, or was, um, emeralds, even for their scarcity, are tradable and have been for ages. So lapis was really really kind of left out. Well, the last time that they reworked the enchanting system, they added a lapis cost. So now, in order to do your enchanting, you're also going to need to have a healthy stack of lapis ready to go. So that definitely makes it more appealing to have all of those block types around, and those are all things that are going to go into that nice and mostly vacant treasure chest that we got upstairs. So good stuff all around. Getting some more coal too. Never complain about that. Fortunately, it doesn't look like we have a ton of extra iron, at least yet. But who knows? Maybe in one of these 3 little boxes we've got got a nice diamond deposit. Be be a welcome surprise. So we'll just kind of clear this out. That will give us a nice starting room to eventually shoot out those tunnels that we were talking about and really get on the hunt for diamonds. But before we do that, um, having used up a lot of picks and not gotten a ton of iron back for them, we're probably gonna have to go find another cave closer to the surface. I think we've got. Oh, there's a little more iron though. See, it doesn't want to disappoint. It doesn't want to be called out on it at least. Well, that's good, and I hope that it continues to live up to the potential of more iron. But either way, here we are cutting into our last pick, and we didn't have a whole lot of extra iron upstairs. So we'll we'll probably want to use what tools we can restock ourselves with to get out there and see what other caves our little home area has to explore and dive into. And yeah, with those, then hopefully we can start changing our world over to diamonds. In the meantime, I don't know from this distance if we're close enough to keep our wheat growing while we've been down here. But as we go up and cook again and see what else we've got in current work, it may be that we find we've got a few fully mature wheat plants out there and ready to harvest. So things are moving along nicely. We'll definitely do another round of feeding our just in time, right? And we got to see it because we never planted the wheat, did we? Oh, well, we'll content ourselves with this iron. Hope there's no lava underneath it. And again, just for simplicity, backfilling space, and yeah, these little pockets of cobble around are gonna bug me until we always standardize and clean up a little bit. And we'll sort of start to prioritize that, not immediately. I have a pretty high tolerance for ignoring that. Like some of these patches too. We'll be we'll be moving quite a way on before we decide. Yeah, today's the day. Let's make that look nice. At least not so hideous. But we gotta get a roof. We got a lot of stuff to do before we get that far. So we'll uh, we'll keep plugging away at it. So real quick, obviously the most prolific of our haul was our cobble. Also got some andesite this time to catch up with its buddies. Some more dirt. That's our iron that we need to cook. I gotta get rid of this. That was just to find our height. Get rid of that. Got that. Cook those. Top that off. A little bit of extra coal even out of that to just top off our stack. It's sunny out. Let's go get this going. Such news. But the good news is we should now be fully irrigated, which we are. And that is a wonderful thing. So we're just gonna move through this farm. And again, fully readily available and certainly meets any needs that I've had along the way of a wheat farm. It's just not quite as efficient as you can see. You gotta turn, you gotta angles. You're prone to missing spots as you go. Just turning back and forth doing the rows gets you off, and you'll skip one before you know it. But we're not farmers. We got a little at least wheat garden going, and that's a wonderful thing. So very cool in that regard. Let's prioritize our cows and get them fed and happy. We've still got a very healthy supply of wheat, and we've got got some seeds for when we get to our chickens. So, cow, I've been singing your praises here all day, but I don't necessarily want you like right at my door. You're big, and while well intentioned and docile, cows versus door, the cow is probably just gonna go right through, and I would prefer to maintain the integrity of my house. So I'll get you fed. I'm not at this point. We did a sheep. It was great. The sheep that we got close together had their little baby sheep, and we're seeing the results around here somewhere. Could have sworn we had two chickens though. Those are crazy. There. Oh, you're a sheep. Sorry, chicken. Oh, there's your buddy. Chicky. There we go. Happy chickens. So, it's getting easier to find these cows. When you only have two and they wander apart, it gets tougher. When you have, half dozen or so, even when that guy goes taken off, there's still a couple that are hanging out. And frankly, there's not that much room around here for them to wander to. So, doing really well in that regard. I think our next goal here is going to be to clear cut our temporary oak farm and start thinking about where oak trees might exist in the future and at what level. Um, Again, just like the wheat farm, and I was talking about with the animals, if you set things up to be working in the background while you're doing other stuff, you'll find you got plenty, whenever a need arises. And I want the trees to kind of be in that same regard. Sitting around waiting and watching for a tree to grow is worse than watching a kettle boil. It just, they never seem to pop quickly. And that's, you wouldn't want trees to just insta grow. That's not how trees work. So I like that they require a little bit of time investment, but I would prefer that we're getting as much value as we can out of that uh, um, waiting, which there will be, but also from where we put them, that they when they do this, it's not quite as massive. We're going to need some ladders. Giant oak trees have gotten more and more impressive over versions and releases as they come out, and I really think the branches and things look great. They're um, so much more than they used to be, and when the giant trees first came out, it seemed like, all right, yeah, you got a giant tree. It's just a big blob of green on the top, and hidden amongst it are a bunch of branches that you're more than likely going to miss when you try to clear it. And then you'll have floating little green blocks that are now, 17, maybe not that many blocks up above your head. And yeah, no good for anybody. But I think they've really gone a long way. I love these branches that hang out below, and kind of the shape of the tops of the big trees has gotten better over time. And I don't know if that's been a priority or just something you notice more as you work with more trees. But I think they're pretty cool, and often I will you know, at the far remote time of getting to kind of landscaping and beautification, or even if it just happens as we're going along, you get the right big tree in the right place. Man, oh man, it's just throw some torches around it, and think of the party tree in the Lord of the Rings. That kind of, this is a pillar of the community or the area that when you first came here, it was already a big tree around. You can't just make that happen on your own unless you're in a world like Minecraft. And yeah, appreciate that natural beauty and do your best to steward it, not just knock it down. Now, all that being said, these two are not in a spot where I'm really looking for any of that. So, yeah, you guys, we're going to get some ladders and take you out. But I got a few friends hanging out, enjoying the night. And I think we're going to. Maybe that's how he got in. I didn't even think that. Yeah, he could just as easily make that little leap and climb up the back of my mine shaft roof as I could. Yep, I'm guessing that's the answer to our earlier mystery. How'd the zombie get in? Anyway, again, as we like to say, if there's no harm, there's no foul committed. So we got through, but we've got a few little trinkets here. Redstone up on top, it's easy as click, and it's the most common of the treasury gems that I'm going to come across. Our wheat, our iron has done its thing. I'm got a couple sticks. Let's combine these just to make more space. And I think with that as full as it is, we'll just get 3 more picks this time. They don't need to all be perfect health. Seeing that creeper out that window while I'm working, man. After last game, you know what your brother did to me? He was not a friendly guy. Sneaking up and just sizzling right there before I went boom. But this is the way it goes. Creepers outside, us inside. Let's take this opportunity while he's kind of around the corner. And that's why I love having some windows and these doors that have more space, is you can kind of pick your egress point to make sure that you fight on your terms, clear out the problem, and he doesn't inadvertently take out half your house if you finger slips or something. So, good. Got him cleaned up. Got happy cows, got fewer trees. We need the ladders, but man, oh man, I don't look forward to that chore. As the name of the last rule implied, we're coming up on that time of year when lawns need attention and gardens need to be reset, and for those people that have a lot of mature trees and need to do the pruning and that kind of stuff, what seems like maybe a chore when you're working on a hedge, man, if you got to get up high to take down tree limbs, that's why, man, support your local tree trimmers. I don't do what they do, but getting up there to make sure that those folks that are lucky enough to have big mature trees in their yard stay healthy and not threatening to your roof or your cars or anything else that they may fall on if the wind comes and they got rotted limbs. Good stuff out of them. So yeah, we'll get to these two here soon enough, but I think we've made much better progress. Imagine how we would have done if we hadn't reset halfway through today. We could have been, who knows, much further than we are now. But aside from the lack of our roof, but I mean, who needs a roof, right? If it rains, we just go down in the hole in the ground and stay dry down there. And besides that, waters are already watered crops, and keeps fires at bay, and generally just is a good thing for nature to have some good rain. So we'll let it come when it does, and eventually get a roof on this sucker, so we don't have to worry about it anymore. And more importantly, now that we know this is a stairway for zombies to come and drop on our heads, get that dealt with. Let's just leave ourselves in a good spot for future opportunity. Get our junk in, throw our apples. Logs and saplings go in their home. Got, as always, more dirt than we need. and I got some extra iron for once. Now, we talked about two more things. This is the wonderful, wonderful thing about Minecraft and other games that, you know, Civilization, right? It's another one where, yeah, I'm ready. I think It's about time to throw in the towel and call it quits. Well, not quite yet, because just when I was about to, I realized that I've got this, and this that I can still do. So, first of all, we gotta put that hoe away. We don't need to carry it around. It's just taking up space. We've actually got enough iron to make a little reserve, and yeah, it's only 3 picks worth, but 3 picks is 3 picks, and I think we'll still plan to fairly early on go in our cave. So this is what we were talking about, just having a bucket of milk. And again, I'm not going to carry that with me, but knowing that we may have more return pillager visits, it's pretty nice to just have one ready to go and not have to craft it or find it or anything like that if we do happen to get afflicted. So yeah, we got it. We got that. Soon enough we'll have pumpkins, and we can use our milk with pumpkins to make creamy, creamy pumpkin pie. That'll be a tasty treat to look forward to after we've grown tired of our mutton chops and bread, and we had some cod earlier today, so we're maybe not having the most diverse of diets, but at least we haven't been nonstop on sucking down the berries or anything like that. So it's good when you get a little variety, and you know as much of a chore as it'll be in a little bit to have to level out some of this ground for our eventual fields. I think having all these animals here and being able to feed them and increase their numbers as we're doing it is going to be a real bonus once we get done. This is our trouble here. How far down do we want to go towards this lake? Um, kind of mid-level. We want our house to be up high above the fray, and as people approach, they may see our fields and kind of wander through those as you're heading up to the hill. I'm sure most folks have seen the movie from a while back now, Gladiator, but the kind of scene that they repeatedly showed in his dreams or whatever when he was thinking of home was he'd walk through the wheat field on the way up to his villa house and run his fingers through the ripe wheat as he was heading up. And between that and some of the kind of colonial Virginia artwork that came out of that pre-American Revolutionary period, where they'd show the house when everybody wanted to live on a river because there weren't roads, and you'd boat into town. Maybe not directly into town, but you'd boat between houses and outposts and that kind of stuff, and you'd build your home on a bluff beside a river, and what amounted to lawn or an entry or drive, what we would think of as a driveway or the front of the house, it just faced down towards where dock or whatever slip or pier you made for your house, and people would walk up a slope towards it. Well, I think having some tree groves going and some planted crops to kind of surround that area would be pretty nice. So we ultimately may try to concoct some kind of a water tunnel system as well, depending on how much those caves get in the way. But it's always pretty nice to be able to ride a boat through into a secure and underground entry, park it, and then emerge into your house kind of clandestinely through the owner's entrance, right? the guests, they're the ones that need to walk up through the fields and kind of are instructed to approach. But man, when you're just going out to grab some groceries or pick up dinner or something like that, you don't want to make the quarter-mile walk to the house. You want to just boat right in. So maybe we'll look at doing something like that. Certainly when we come to figuring out where we're gonna establish our closest of villager friends, we'll look at some of that kind of stuff. But boy, oh boy, I can't thank you guys enough. Those of you that found these videos, please do likes and comments. Spread the word if you enjoyed, and watch Twitter, watch YouTube, and watch out. Eventually, we'll be showing up live on Twitch. So, thanks for the time today. Really, really enjoy it. I hope you've enjoyed these worlds. The first disastrous one, and maybe what's a little more secure start on this one. Lots of fun still to be had, and we're just barely getting going. So, y'all take care of yourselves, and we'll look forward to seeing you the next time. Again, as always, and for this first time, thanks so much for sharing your time with me. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we will definitely see you back the next time. Take care, and thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.